What if your entire life, every single moment of it, from the first breath you took to the last breath you'll ever take, what if all of that is nothing but code running in a cosmic computer? Sounds crazy, right? But it's not as far-fetched as you might think. In fact, some of the world's leading thinkers believe it could be a real possibility. People like Nick Bostrom, an Oxford philosopher, and even Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur. They both have reasons to believe that we may be living in a computer simulation right now. But before we jump into their arguments, let us go back in time to ancient Greece, where the idea of a simulated reality first began to take shape. The Greek philosopher Plato had a theory about the nature of reality. He believed that what we see around us is not the real world, but rather a shadow of the real world. In other words, our world is a simulation. What Plato didn't know, however, was that his theory would be echoed by philosophers and scientists for centuries to come. Fast forward to the 20th century, and we find ourselves smack in the middle of a simulation debate. This time, it's physicist and cosmologist Max Tegmark who throws his hat in the ring. He believes that our universe could be one of many, possibly infinite, that exist out there. In other words, we could be living in a kind of simulation. So what makes these people think that we're living in a video game? Well, there are a few theories. Some say that the universe has certain glitches that can only be explained by the idea that we re in a simulation. For example, we know that the laws of physics don't always seem to make sense. Things happen that defy explanation. These glitches could be evidence that we re in a simulation because they would make sense if the universe was just a bunch of ones and zeros. Others argue that the very fact that we re-able to simulate reality on computers is proof that it is a simulation. If we can create a virtual world that looks and feels real, then it stands to reason that we could be living in one right now. Now, you might be thinking that these arguments sound pretty shaky, and you're not alone. There are plenty of people who disagree with the simulation hypothesis. One common argument against the idea is that there's no evidence for it. We simply can't prove that we're living in a simulation, so it's not worth taking seriously. Others argue that the idea is just too weird to be true. If we are living in a simulation, then who's running it and why? These are fair points, but they don't necessarily disprove the simulation hypothesis. It just means that we need more evidence to test the idea. Despite the lack of evidence, or maybe because of it, the idea of a simulated reality has become a cultural obsession. Movies like The Matrix and TV shows like Westworld have explored the idea that we could be living in a simulation. Video games have also become increasingly realistic, which has only added fuel to the simulation debate. So what do you think? Is this all just a big cosmic joke? Or are we really living in a video game? Here's the thing. We may never know the answer to that question. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep asking it. After all, it was questions like this that led to some of our greatest scientific discoveries. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find out that we're living in a simulation. And when that happens, the real question will be, if this is a simulation, who's running it and why? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more thought-provoking content. And thanks for watching.